Witajcie. Thank you for the kind introduction. I'm very pleased to be here today to talk with you about the skills advantage, the types of skills that we see that individuals need to truly reach your full potential as you consider career options in IT, whether it be in planning, designing, implementing, operating, maintaining, or developing solutions around Microsoft and other IT technologies. So thank you for welcoming me today. What I'm going to talk with you about today is 4 different topics. First, I'll give you a sense of who we are in Microsoft Learning. Then I'll talk about why people choose to go after a certification. Next, the rise in cloud computing. And finally, to give you an understanding of Microsoft certifications and the way that we've reinvented them for the cloud. We'll start with Microsoft Learning. Microsoft has been in the learning business for just over 20 years, helping people to gain the skills that they need to work effectively with Microsoft technologies, products, and services, which, as you know, are used widely in businesses, in governments, in academic institutions such as this, and in other settings around the world. Now, 20 years is a long time, and a lot has changed in 20 years. Here are some examples of what things looked like 20 years ago. And I'm not sure how many of these, looking at all of you, will be all that familiar to you. But I'll point out a few things. So, well, you could still probably find cars that look like that, right? But look at the size of the cell phone, the mobile phone that gentleman is using. That gentleman happens to be our general manager for Microsoft Learning, Lutz Ziab. That phone is big. And let me tell you, he couldn't surf the internet with that phone. He couldn't send any text messages with that phone. You get the idea. I won't go through all of these, but look in the bottom left. How many of you know what Mosaic was? That was the first browser. Before Internet Explorer or all the others that are out there, there was Mosaic. That was number 1. And in the bottom right, you can see America Online. Still exists today, but not nearly as big a part. It was the dominant way that people did email 20 years ago. So quite a bit has changed. Also, many of the companies that were some of the biggest companies, or the names that were some of the biggest brands in the technology industry, are no longer so. But look at the name at the bottom right. We're still here, and we're still growing. So we're glad to be on that part of the list. This is what one of our advertisements looked like for Microsoft Learning when we started. We used to call ourselves Microsoft University. I only joined the company about 3 years ago, but I think it's had a few names along the way. But for many years now, we've referred to what we do as Microsoft Learning. So that's just to show you an old ad. I'll ask this question. How many of you know who this person is that's pictured here? Anybody? Bill Gates. A lot of you knew who he is. One of the founders of Microsoft and our original CEO. This is the vision that Bill espoused, that Bill spoke about for Microsoft, that it's about a computer on every desk and in every home. Of course, today, we need to update visions like that because it's even more than the one computer. It's the smartphone you have in your pocket. It's the tablet that you might use. Lots of different ways that people are interacting with technology. But his vision was bringing the power of technology to everyone. He says every twice here. We built a vision for our portion of Microsoft, Microsoft Learning that reflects that vision. A world where everyone has the skills to unleash the power of Microsoft technologies. We really believe that. We believe that there are tremendous opportunities around the world that not only help businesses be more productive and help individuals reach their full potential, like each of you, but even help entire economies grow their capabilities, because we know that in today's world, the strength of your technology infrastructure and the people that manage and develop and grow it is an important element as an economic engine. So we care very much about all of those elements in what we build in Microsoft Learning. The main things that we do are we create all Microsoft certifications. So if you choose to go after a Microsoft certification and you find the exam is hard, you get to blame me. But we build all of our certification exams. We also build training to help people gain the skills they need. Because after all, the purpose of a certification exam isn't to make it hard for people. It's to assure that people build the right skills. And we also have special programs for academic institutions. I'm sure many of you know the Microsoft IT Academy logo that I already saw outside one of your classrooms. Maybe it's in more places as well. So that's an example of a very special program we build to help students gain skills through what Microsoft Learning does. And then we offer our services in a number of different ways. I won't talk about it here. That's the channel part of what I wrote on this slide. And then we have certain platforms, certain IT platforms that we ourselves use. So if you pass one of our certification exams, you get to use an online portal that we created that allows you, for example, to access your transcript. So you can show someone the success that you've had with our certifications and download a certificate that you can print, email to your family and friends, put on the wall, so on and so forth. We offer training and certification not on everything we do. How many of you use an Xbox? Some of you use an Xbox for playing games. We don't actually teach people how to play games in what we do. We figure you can figure that out yourself. But we do focus in these areas. We focus on IT professionals, individuals who are working to make our IT infrastructure in companies and organizations more efficient and effective. We focus on developers, people who are creating apps for a phone or Windows 8, all the way to people creating enterprise-class applications that are used by businesses to help and organizations to help them run more effectively. And we focus on information workers. These are people that use, for example, Microsoft Office. You'd be surprised how many people don't know all the capabilities in Microsoft Office, so we focus there as well. And there are a couple of other ways that I'll show you that we look at who we serve in Microsoft Learning. We serve our partners. These are companies that help us by supporting customers in their use of our products, and we work closely with them. Of course, many of our customers take our training and our certifications so that they have the right skills to use our products effectively. Students, like all of you, and believe it or not, even Microsoft employees often get Microsoft certifications. I happen to be certified in PowerPoint 2010. So if you like my slides, it's because of my certification. If you don't like my slides, it's because I don't have very good design skills even with the certification. We also cover people everywhere from new entrants all the way through to the people who are at the very top level. We have certifications and training designed for every level in the stage of where somebody is working. Now, we offer training through a variety of different venues, including, as I said, the Microsoft IT Academies. For those of you that like self-study, you might have noticed that we offer books under the brand Microsoft Press. So we manage a number of different ways that you can gain the skills that you need. And as I said, we cover most Microsoft products in what we do. And when you're ready to take an exam, we offer 2 places, set of test centers where you can go to take an exam to earn a Microsoft certification. For most of our technical exams, you would go to a center that's operated on our behalf by a company called Prometric. And if you want to take our office exams or our entry technical exams, called MTA, you would take them at a center managed by a company called Certiport. So that's a little bit about what we do. In terms of where we're going, we recognize that the learning industry, just like the technology industry, is changing very rapidly. So just to give you a peek as to how we think about this, we recognize there are lots of different ways that we can help people gain the skills that they need. For example, in our world, labs are extremely important. It's very important to have hands-on practice with our products because quite often, you're not going to really know them well unless you've really tried them. You can do things in simulation, but for example, you probably, I'm guessing, can't get a driver's license here without actually having some practice driving on the roads. Am I right? You need to have some practice. So labs are very important. We're making labs a more and more prominent part of the training that we do because we know how important that is. We also recognize, if you look on the right-hand side, that there are some specific things that we need to do to make sure that what we create works really well in school environments. That we have the right materials for instructors so that your instructors can help you effectively to learn. So a variety of different things that we do and that we're working on to build better and better learning paths toward our certifications and toward getting the skills that everyone needs. So the second area that I said I was going to talk about is why people choose to certify. So I led the certification program at a couple of other companies. I should say that as a way of background, though many people at Microsoft, since Microsoft is headquartered in Redmond, in Washington State, in the United States, many people live there. I actually live not far from there. I live in Silicon Valley, in California. So not surprisingly, I have worked for other Silicon Valley companies, Apple, Cisco, 3Com, and in any place where we've had certifications, what I found is that there are a variety of things that people tell us consistently as to why they choose to get certified. The first thing that we hear is to improve knowledge and skills. People want to be able to be confident in what they know. To get a job. Or for people who already have a job, to grow in that job and become better at what it is that they do. For recognition. Recognition among their peers. This mic working so I don't need this one, or I need both? Need both, okay, thanks. For recognition and personal growth. For confidence. I've definitely talked to many candidates who said, by taking and passing that exam, I now know I know how to do this. Because that exam was tough. And even for a challenge. I've had many people say, I just wanted to try it because it was difficult. You know, like somebody who's a mountain climber, they always want to climb the next harder mountain. I've definitely heard that as well, very consistently. Let me talk about a couple of these areas. So, for example, I can tell you we have plenty of statistics showing why employers care about certifications. I could give you a long list. You see a few of them here, and they're all from studies. And if you could read the little words at the bottom of the slide, you'd see some of the studies that demonstrate this. I'll just point out one example. If you look in the upper right, 72% of IT managers, hiring managers in this study said that people who are certified are more proficient with Microsoft technologies compared to other people with an equal amount of experience. So what employers are noticing is this really makes their people more productive and more capable with our technologies. And that's really valuable. A couple more statistics. In the United States, there is a company whose name is Robert Half. You can see their logo way down at the bottom left of the slide. I did a webinar, a speech like this over the web, with, on behalf of and with Robert Half about a month ago in the United States. They had 500-600 people watching, and they've actually placed it on YouTube. So I'm on YouTube now. And one of the things that Robert Half shared with me was these statistics. They said that, oh, and by the way, I should say, this is one of the largest placement firms for recruiting firms in the United States. They have over 100,000 IT professionals in their database of people that they actively work with to place in either temporary or permanent IT-related jobs. So very big, well-known firm. They said that they've looked at what the uplift is in salaries for people who hold specific skills. Now, to be clear, there's no promise here. If you have these skills, there's no guarantee, because there are lots of things that employers think about when deciding whether or not to hire you. But people with SharePoint skills earned 12% more. Virtualization skills and SQL skills, database management skills with Microsoft, earned 10% more than other people with the same level of experience, but that didn't have those skills. So again, these were their statistics. The next one I wanted to show you was from a company called Global Knowledge. Global Knowledge is a very large commercial training company based in the United States, but also with operations elsewhere, such as in Europe and in Japan. Global Knowledge wrote a blog post very recently, one of their instructors, about the top 15 salary certifications, the certifications with the top 15 certifications based on salary. What they found was 3 of the top 10 were Microsoft certifications, and 6 of the top 15 were Microsoft certifications. So there are other good certifications too, but these are certainly among those that can really pay off for individuals who make the investment in getting the skills and acquiring the certifications that are associated with them. And one other thing that I said was that one reason people certify is to learn. Well, in a way, that's kind of odd, because all certification is about is a test. It's not actually about gaining the skills, it's about checking whether or not you have the skills. So why did I say that certification is also about learning? Well, there was an interesting study. It was discussed in a magazine called Science Magazine about 2 years ago. Now, English is my native language, but even I can't really understand what this title says. It says, retrieval practice produces more learning than elaborative studying with concept mapping. I didn't really understand it. Here's the good news. How many of you have ever heard of a newspaper in the United States called the New York Times? Very good. Very well-known newspaper, as I can see. The New York Times wrote an article about the article in Science Magazine. And here's what they called it. To really learn, quit studying and take a test. Now, I know that your instructors might be in this room. I am not telling you to quit studying. Do not quit studying. But here was the point that they were making. What the study was really saying was, and I think you know this, when you know there's a test coming, you focus, you concentrate, you make sure, and I see heads nodding, thank you. You know that when there's a test coming, now you may be doing it the night before, that's not up to me, but you know you focus on learning that material and making sure you really understand it. And that's why certification is a very important part of the learning process. Now, that's only as good as the certifications that you offer. So I want to give you a little bit of insight into how we build our certifications, just so you get a sense of the strength that we put into making this happen. So we use a process at Microsoft that we call the 4Ds, because each of the steps in the process in English happens to start with the letter D. Okay, it didn't really happen to start with the letter D. I purposely used words that started with the letter D so I could call it the 4Ds. But here we go. So the first one is design. This is, how do we design our certifications? Well, think about this for a second. And if you were designing a certification, you'd want to think about, well, what is the employer going to care about? What is that HR or hiring manager going to say about the quality of this certification? You want to make sure, if you are employing somebody who's certified, that that person knows the full range of what they need to know. Not just the most common tasks, but the unusual tasks that might be the key to optimizing that deployment or to avoiding an unnecessary outage. So we design our certifications to be comprehensive, to make sure that if somebody is certified, they have the breadth and depth of knowledge and skills that they need. And that can make them harder to get because you really need to know your stuff, but it's really important because after all, once you get it, you know that everybody else who gets it has to go through that same process to earn that certification. The second step is how we develop our certifications. We develop our certifications with a whole variety of different question types. So you might encounter some multiple choice questions, but you also might encounter some questions that test your skill at a deeper level, and I'm going to show you one in a minute, so I'm going to come back to that. The third area is how we deliver our exams. So if any of you go to a Prometric center to take one of our higher level technical exams, they're going to ask you to show ID. They're going to ask you to not take a mobile phone into the room. They're not going to let you take any paper in the room. They'll have lockers there. You can keep everything, but you can't take any of those things in the room. The security of our exams is very important because after all, if you work hard to earn one of our certifications, you don't want somebody else to earn it in an improper way. You want to make sure everybody has to go through the same process. So we work closely with Prometric and with Certiport to secure the exam process. And some of the things we do you'll see, like showing ID. Some of the things we do you won't see, and I can't tell you about them. But we do make sure that that process is secure. Now, even with that, every once in a while, somebody is going to claim that they have our exam questions. And you'll go search on the internet and somebody will say, I have the exam questions that I violated my agreement and I put on the internet. Well, first, don't believe everything you read because sometimes they don't. But if they did, we go after them legally. So we literally have an attorney who will find and sue and make sure that we protect the intellectual property because we know it matters to the people that earn our certifications. It matters to them that that certification they earned is really valuable. So we do all those things. Now, I mentioned I would come back and show you one quick example in development. So here's the example that I wanted to show you. Now, let me be clear. This is not a real exam question, so don't bother writing it down. Oh, I hear the moans and groans. Sorry about that. This is an example of the type of question that we use on our SQL exams, our database exams. In this question, you need to write a SQL statement. You can't guess right on a multiple choice. You need to write a SQL statement. The text that you write goes in that area that I just showed. And I want to point out two other areas. They're down toward the bottom. I don't know if you can all see them, but I put red boxes around them. So the one on the left says keywords. If you click there, it shows you a list of keywords. Now, why do we include that in an exam? The reason is that the real software includes that. We're not trying to test whether you can memorize the keywords that in a moment, if you were using the software, you could bring up anyway. We're trying to test if you actually know how to build SQL statements. Similarly, the other little box I circled says check syntax. where you can click to check the syntax of the statement you wrote before you submit it. Again, the real software lets you do that. We're not testing that skill. We want to test if you really know how to build those statements. Just wanted to give you an idea of how we go about making sure that these are great exams. Okay, the next area I want to talk about is the cloud. Have you all heard of the cloud? Show of hands? Wonderful. And I don't mean the cloud that produced today's snow. Thank you, by the way, for bringing snow for the day that I arrived in Warsaw. It's beautiful here today. Especially for me. Thank you. So there are a couple of major industry analyst firms in the United States. One of them is named Gartner. Gartner had this quote on their website that I thought was a great way to express what the cloud is about. So I'll read it. A style of computing in which scalable and elastic IT capabilities are delivered as a service using internet technologies. So what that means is that in the cloud, the services that are available to you can be just like the services that you might have gotten from your IT department, but they're coming from a data center that can be far away that's connected to you over the internet. That's what cloud computing is about. And it's very fast growing, which I'm going to show you on the next slide. Because Gartner has a competitor, another very prominent industry analyst firm in the United States called IDC. I did some interviews this morning with a number of members of the press here, and all of them knew IDC. It's very well known here among the industry as well. We worked with IDC and we commissioned a study that came out just 3 months ago. In that study, IDC was looking at the growth in IT jobs between now and the end of 2015. So over the next 3 years or so. What they found is that all of the growth in IT-related jobs will be in the cloud. The cloud-related jobs are the ones in blue on the slide. And it represents just about all of the growth in jobs. The quote on the right-hand side of the slide is directly from the study. What they talked about in the study was the difficulty in finding the right people with the right skills to operate in the cloud. And the last sentence is my favorite. It says, simply put, the workforce isn't ready. The study went on to ask the people who participated in the study, which were hiring managers and IT leaders, what's missing? What do you need? And here's what they found. What they found were 3 main factors: lack of training, lack of experience, lack of certification. And what's interesting about this is the cloud is relatively new. Nobody has much experience in the cloud today. People who have even a little bit are well sought after, but nobody has much. So the opportunity for training and certifying in the cloud is huge, because it means that those who do can be at the forefront of the next wave in technology. And what does that look like? How do people get cloud skills? Well, we think of the development of cloud skills in essentially 3 steps. First, people who have traditional skills in working with today's IT systems have a lot of skills that are very valuable in the cloud. So we have a system, I'll give an example. We have a system called Microsoft Exchange. Microsoft Exchange is used by businesses and organizations around the world to manage email. So if you were using Outlook for email, which is extremely common in businesses and organizations around the world, what's behind that is Microsoft Exchange. that's actually managing the provisioning of that email system. We now offer a version of Exchange in the cloud called Exchange Online. It turns out there is enough commonality between Exchange used in a company and Exchange Online that many of the skills are transferable. So people building and gaining traditional skills are already gaining skills toward the cloud. That's a good sign. You don't have to reinvent everything about what you know about IT. Very good sign. The second step is to recognize the need for hybrid skills. Now, here's what I mean by that. Think about any significant size business, academic institution, government agency. They're not going to move everything to the cloud all at once. There are some great advantages to having some of your computing in the cloud. It can be less expensive. It can be easier to upgrade. It's professionally managed for you so that you can focus your other resources elsewhere. There are some great advantages, but there aren't any big organizations that are moving everything to the cloud. They might move their human resources function to the cloud, or they might move their branch office in another country to the cloud, or something like that. But they're doing it in steps. What that means for IT professionals and developers is that they need to know the hybrid skills in how to seamlessly combine cloud and on-premise, or cloud and more traditional local resources, into an experience that's seamless for the users of all of that technology throughout their organization. That's a new set of skills. That's not something that IT people have needed to do, but now they do need to do. And the third step is that IT professionals need to add new skills. Now, one way we think about the skills in IT is a model that we call PDIO, Plan, Design, Implement, Operate. So, plan. That means working with the organization's leaders to really understand why they need something different or better from IT, and really build that understanding. Next, design. Taking that plan and designing the right set of products and services from Microsoft and probably others as well that would together form the basis of that IT infrastructure that they need. Third, to implement that, to do all the installation and provisioning of everything that I just described that was in that design. And then finally, to operate it. That means to maintain it, to upgrade it when that's needed, to troubleshoot it if something goes wrong. So plan, design, implement, operate is the typical mode that we think about with major IT installations. In the cloud, more of, not all of, but more of the implement and operate phases are done by a service provider that could be thousands of kilometers away. That means that IT professionals and developers need to get better at plan and design. And when I've talked to IT leaders, they welcome that, because they've always said that our biggest value is in working with our organization's leaders to understand what's needed and translate that into a technology design that's going to move our organization forward. If the cloud service providers are doing more of the implement and operate, that's fine with us. So these are the three steps that we see: build on current skills, add hybrid skills, and grow skills in plan and design that will make IT professionals and developers that much more valuable in this new world of cloud computing. I won't go through everything that's on this slide, but I do want to say what you see on the left-hand side, IT systems and operations, application development and maintenance, and the other areas, are all specifically from the IDC study that I showed you a couple of moments ago. These are the areas where they see the most significant growth in IT-related jobs. What we've done is we've taken a look at how do each of those jobs categories evolve in the three steps that I just described of building on current skills, adding hybrid skills, and adding new skills. Now, remember this slide because I'm actually going to show it to you again in a few minutes. So I'm going to come back to this slide, okay? But I said that I'm going to talk about Microsoft certifications and what we offer as well. So let me do that next. Almost a year ago, we made some major changes to Microsoft certifications. And we made them primarily because of the cloud. Now, there was a practical reason we made these changes. If you look at prior Microsoft certifications, they always had a version number on them. So somebody might have earned an MCSE, which is a very popular Microsoft certification. Somebody might have earned an MCSE in Windows Server 2003 from 10 years ago. Cloud services don't have version numbers on them. So if you're using Exchange Online that I just said, there is no such thing as Exchange Online 2013 and Exchange Online 2014 because cloud services are continually improved. We're always making improvements to the cloud offerings that we have, like Office 365 and Exchange Online and so on. We're always making improvements. There are no versions. So we couldn't any longer have certifications that had versions on them when the products and services didn't always have versions. So we needed another way. There's a practical reason we needed a reason to change. But more importantly, everything I just described about the new skills that people need meant that we needed to have greater breadth and greater depth in the training that we offer and the certifications that we offer in order to meet the most modern needs of hiring managers in companies and organizations. So for all of those reasons, we made significant changes to the certifications we offer. So let me go through what our certifications are. We offer certifications in the use of Microsoft Office. I mentioned that earlier, that I hold one of them myself. It's amazing how many features of Microsoft Office are there that people don't know are there. Interesting opportunity for those of you who are students, and I know that's most of you here. We've actually had some examples in the United States where students have gained a Microsoft Office Specialist certification, then had an apprenticeship or an internship at a company, and found out that they knew more about Microsoft Office than the people working there. And were actually able to teach some of the people in those offices capabilities they didn't even know were there. It's pretty cool to be able to go in and be the expert in something when you're just an intern or an apprentice. Now, I would also say for the instructors in the room, one of the things that has really motivated academic institutions to be interested in Microsoft Office is that it provides a base level that every instructor can count on about a student's success with Microsoft Office. So in classes that might involve the use of Excel, for example, or PowerPoint for presentation, or Microsoft Word, if the instructor knows that the students are all certified, the instructor never has to worry about, oh, I'm going to have to teach Excel skills. Instead, the instructor can focus on economics or statistics or computer science or whatever the topic is that's most important. So it turns out to be really valuable for academic institutions. We've seen some. The business school at Tulane University, for example, requires Excel certification for all of their students for exactly that reason. So we do offer 3 different levels of different challenge levels through the exams. And I will also tell you that these exams are in-application exams. Here's what I mean by that. When you take an exam in PowerPoint, you actually are running PowerPoint. And a little box comes up that asks you, it brings up a sample PowerPoint deck, and it asks you to do some things. Like, oh, go to slide 4 and modify it to make the animation work in the following way. So it's really cool because you're actually using the application. By the way, I'll tell you, the only thing that you can't do is use the help button. Everything else works. In our technical certifications, we have numerous levels I want to start by telling you about the most fundamental level, which is the Microsoft Technology Associate, or MTA certifications. As you can see here, we offer 12 different certifications that are designed only to test and have you get the skills in fundamental knowledge in these areas. These are not our highest level certifications, but it can be really valuable to have that confidence that, oh, I can understand this area, and can lead you to potentially go after higher level certifications in some of those same areas. We offer 7 certifications for developers in different areas like Windows development, HTML5, which is a popular way to develop software these days that I suspect many of you know about, even gaming development for developing games. I doubt if any of you would be interested in that, but we do offer that as well. And then for IT professional areas, we offer certifications in areas like networking and security, database management. So we have a number of different areas to give people the opportunity to gain the skills that just make sure you know the fundamentals in each of those different areas. And even to potentially try an area that might be new for you, even if your specialty is in a different area. Here's the full stack of Microsoft technical certifications. So I mentioned Microsoft Technology Associate that you see at the bottom. The next level up is MCSA, the Microsoft Certified Solutions Associate. We offer MCSA certifications in 3 different areas: in Windows Server, in Windows Client, and in SQL for our databases, because those 3 are absolutely fundamental for any of the other IT professional certifications areas that we cover. Now, we offer a couple of flavors in each of those. So for example, for Windows Server, we offer an MCSA for Windows Server 2008, because many people use that today, as well as for our newest Windows Server 2012. And similarly in the other areas, but just 3 main choices for which path will get you to the next level. The level above that, we offer the MCSE, probably our best known brand of certification, and the MCSD for developers. So each of those, I should say, at the associate level, you typically are passing 2 or 3 exams in order to achieve that level. And typically you're passing a couple more exams if you want to achieve the MCSE. We offer the MCSE in a variety of areas that are very much aligned to the cloud discussion we had earlier and the range of technology areas that we see in the market. We offer, for example, an MCSE in business intelligence for individuals that are working with data, including the concepts of big data that some of you may have heard of. We offer an MCSE in SharePoint, one of our most popular products and one where skills are always in heavy demand. We offer MCSEs in private cloud for organizations that want to create cloud offerings but do it within their own organization in addition to what they might source from outside. So we have MCSEs in a variety of areas. And then we offer the MCSD certifications for developers. So for people who are looking to develop either in traditional Microsoft technologies like C# or in other industry standard technologies like HTML5 and JavaScript, we offer MCSD certifications there. Those certifications don't have any version numbers on them, like I said earlier. And so they do require recertification. That means once you earn the certification, periodically, once every 3 years for MCSE, once every 2 years for MCSD, you need to recertify by taking an exam that demonstrates that you still have the most current skills. So the only people that get to keep our expert level certifications are people that keep skills up to date. And then, for the select few who seek the very top in our program, we offer the MCSM, the Microsoft Certified Solutions Master. I will tell you, not many people are able to make it to that level. because it really does require tremendous expertise. It would be almost impossible to get to that level without years of experience, in addition to the study that you might do. Having said that, let me describe just briefly that the way that you traditionally earn an MCSM certification is by having the experience and knowledge that I just described, going to Redmond in Washington State, taking a 3-week training class, and then passing a very rigorous all-day lab exam. Not easy. Believe me, not easy. However, I do want you to know that 2 of the paths toward MCSM, in SQL and in Exchange, are actually available outside of the United States. So there are tests that you can take a little bit closer. You might have to go to Berlin or something like that. But we have begun to expand the availability of the master level in our program. But that's the pinnacle for individuals in the Microsoft world. For most people, recognizing that how difficult the master level is, for most people, the expert level is exactly the right place to aim. Just so you know. Now, I showed you this slide earlier. This was from the IDC study, on the left-hand side, that is, showing the major areas of growth that IDC is seeing in technology. The major areas of growth for jobs that will be relevant for today and tomorrow in the cloud. What we have done in reinventing our certification program is aligned extremely well to where IDC is seeing the world go. So it turns out that the new MCSC and MCSD certifications that I've just talked to you about align beautifully with, with today's needs and tomorrow's needs. And it's no accident. We weren't surprised when we saw the results of the IDC study, because we had done the work to figure out where technology is going, where hiring managers are going in their thinking about the skills that they need, and we built that into what we created with our new program. And so, to close, I just want to come back to the vision that we have. We truly believe that everyone has the potential to grow their skills in ways that will benefit your own careers, that will benefit the organizations for whom you will work, and that will benefit the society as a whole by adding the skills and capabilities for a strong workforce that is the basis of the economic growth for any society. So I want to thank you very much for taking the time with me today. Thank you.